Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cory Baker Show, recording live from downtown Los Angeles. Yes, I broadcast from inside the curfew zone, or I guess at least what used to be the curfew zone. My plan this week on YouTube was to release a video for Ballerina, but because of local curfews, I didn't get the chance to go to the movies this week. So I thought I would pivot and do a video version of this first episode of the Cory Baker Show, which will normally live on podcast feed. It's convenient, though, because with the news of the week, I really wanted to release a standalone podcast episode, and now I can do a video version in place of the review I had planned. The main thing, talk about what is going on right now in downtown Los Angeles at the moment between ICE raids, protests, no kings, etc., and how this is actually really bad news for the film industry in Los Angeles. And finally, I would like to wrap up with what I hope this feed will be going forward and what the Cory Baker Show will be specifically. So I moved to Los Angeles full-time in 2016, and since the day I landed, I have lived in downtown ever since. I first fell in love with downtown when I got here for film school. I literally just arrived in town, and it was July 4th, and I took the metro for the party at Grand Park. During the event, I took a walk looking for a Coke, and I found myself on Broadway for the first time. And I walked from one end to the other and was blown away by the former movie palaces, the ornate architecture all throughout the historic core, and most of all, this community that felt like a rose growing through the sidewalk. Downtown has always had a rough and tumble reputation in LA, and even outside of it. I mean, Skid Row is known all over the country. But throughout my years here, there have been many people who have tried to convince me that I have it all wrong and downtown is the worst, but I disagree. It's the place where it all started, as Spanish missionaries went up the length of California and found pueblos along the way. Before it was America, it was Mexico. Before it was that, it was Spanish explorers. And before that, it was indigenous people. It has only been America since 1848, which makes it about as old as baseball. Maybe it's just me, but I'm a sucker for a real city. And as far as LA goes, this is the realest city they have, given the suburban sprawl of Los Angeles. I like the history. I like being in the thick of things. I love everything this neighborhood has to offer. I didn't grow up in LA, but it never mattered. I always felt like I was adding to what was already great about LA. And everyone who came here, mostly a dreamer of some sort or another, adds to that LA story as well. So when I saw the ICE raids in the Fashion District, I knew the community would step up, and they did. ICE has been running roughshod, terrorizing people with masks on, no ID, picking up people like they're being kidnapped, no accountability. No way to know if this is a federal agent or some guy robbing you, and no dignity. I don't know anyone, regardless of their immigration status, who thinks that people who commit serious crimes should have the same shot as the person who tries to add to their community. And with the patchwork system of legal immigration, not the gold standard, what the Trump administration is doing is not founded on what is legal, but rather what is cruel. With the first raid being in downtown, the federal detention center close to City Hall, there were a lot of people downtown activated when the raids first went down. Since the start of the protest, it is largely centered around a few blocks within the City Hall on Spring and the federal detention center on Alameda. Honestly, there aren't many people who live close to that area other than the people of Little Tokyo. Most apartments are at least 3 blocks away from the conflicted area. And most of that direct area is government buildings, courthouses, and the 101 freeway. Most of the negative scenes I've seen from the protester side has been, the burning of the Waymos and opportunists who knew the police were occupied and took advantage of looting the businesses in downtown. But beyond that, there has been other videos I've seen of random acts of painted a largely peaceful protest in a negative light. The other part of the problem here is that LAPD has been way more aggressive than any of the protesters, and they have the advantage of being able to get their side of the story out first. People will hear something like 300 people arrested and never patiently wait the few months or years to learn that 99% of those charges were eventually dropped. And likewise, people won't wait to tally the lawsuit payouts of, $300,000 to an Australian journalist getting shot, or $750K to a guy who gets stomped by a police horse. Needless to say, the focus on the protests is way overblown compared to the very real issue of how ICE is operating, specifically since arriving in Southern California. There's no due process, something afforded to all people, not just citizens. There is no accountability, since most families don't know where their loved ones are being taken, what they're being charged with, or how to contact them or a lawyer. If it was a just system, it wouldn't be picking up American citizens, people going to immigration court hearings, or 4-year-olds with cancer. To anyone who might have hate in their heart, think about going to Home Depot, getting out of your car, and getting scooped up by masked men. Do you fight back? Is that assault on a federal officer? Can it be when you don't know? Do you let people kidnap you just in case now? Growing up in Baltimore, it was a very black and white city, with the scars of redlining still very much making it feel at times like it was a black city and other times like a white city. There were very few Latinos, very few Asians. Then you come to LA, where everyone is here, not just different racial makeups, but different parts of the country, different parts of the world. You build up enough of a community, and soon enough there's a Koreatown or a Little Tokyo. Everyone brings the special things that make them unique and apply them to Los Angeles. Spending time here, not just a vacation, but real time, will fill you with the gifts that other people and other cultures can provide. It truly is a beautiful thing. And the only time I've ever felt anything like it is when you physically go to a far-flung place and love a place for what it is. All that said, it's a powder keg. The community is not happy with the ICE activity. The LAPD is escalating things every chance they get. The National Guard and Marines are standing around and honestly being exposed for no good reason. They can't do law enforcement type activity, and if they did, they would violate the Posse Comitatus Act. So they are here, but there is no reason for them to be here. Millions of people across the world march No Kings, which you would hope would be the start of some sort of change, but the people in charge are all incapable of that, so TBD. All that preamble, I swear to God, this is a film podcast. This is the worst time for this all to be happening to the film industry and for Los Angeles film in general. The year starts awful with the wildfires, which are still affecting people. Very slowly, the city starts to feel a little bit more normal. There is a push in the legislature to get a new film tax credit passed, which happens right before the ICE raids begin. So the budget is being hammered out in Sacramento with the potential of a new incentive that could kickstart film in Los Angeles the second it is available. But nothing is final, and until it is, things here in the 30-mile zone are on tenuous ground. There are times when it feels like this doesn't happen soon. Shooting in Los Angeles could be completely a thing of the past, and the idea of Hollywood would just be over. And that's a scary thought, but a real possibility in even the rosiest of projections. Lack of foreign travel to the U.S. could hurt the idea of Hollywood as well, since a lot of people I have worked with on set in Los Angeles have been from somewhere else beforehand. Every corner of the world, people who aspire to be filmmakers still try to find themselves in Hollywood. But with the rise of AI and the ability to make a movie where you live, it makes it less appealing every year. When I went to film school, I was the only American in my class of 10. The fable of Hollywood is that everyone here and every day is a glamorous lunch in a new beautiful locale with an actor or studio head. People who work on set aren't going out to lunch every week because we can't afford it. There are less buyers, and they seem to be buying less on average, and the cable TV world is crumbling all at the same time. Also, if my meeting is going to be on Zoom anyway, I can probably live somewhere where the rent isn't so high, Why leave Baltimore? All my meetings in Los Angeles are online, and the film shoots in England. The idea of running into someone in LA is not the same as it used to be. And post-COVID, it's definitely harder to get out like you used to. All that said, if you have a stake in the Los Angeles film community, you might want to call your state reps and ask them to lock in the film credit and the budget. After that, hope Gavin doesn't pull something at the last minute in the hopes that it rockets him to 6th in Iowa in 2028. This podcast feed for the longest time was a repository for the audio version of the movie reviews I've been doing on YouTube. My thought being that there would be people who would want to listen on the go. Some might put the review on YouTube. However you wanted to listen to it, I wanted it to be available to you. I've always wanted this feed to be more, but I had a hard time figuring out what this podcast was going to be. For the longest time, I did the Oh the Anthem podcast with Rob for our production company, and that was really good, but it became difficult to find the time to do it. So that sunsetted, at least for now. A big reason time became an issue was because when we ended the weekly episodes of the podcast was when my daughter was born. And when I no longer had that solid weekly commitment, I poured that time into raising a kid. Now it's been some years, and I spent a lot of time in that lab working on new things for YouTube. And if you didn't check out the channel update video I posted there, I would give it a quick summary. The reviews are back, and they will continue on YouTube and here on the podcast feed, as mentioned previously. I also announced 2 new shows that will have a YouTube component and a separate podcast component. The first is the commentary track, where I sit down with someone in film, and we watch a movie that applies to their role on set, and we break it down with a focus on what they do specifically on set. I'm really excited about it. I've been talking with several people about being a part already, and I hope to have the first one up soon, maybe July 8th, but we'll see. With that show on YouTube, it will be a supercut edited version of the viewing, cut down to be as digestible as possible. Here on the podcast feed, it will be the full-length audio version, with the idea being that you can throw on the same movie as us, start it when we started, and have your own commentary track. Likewise, I have a new series called Script Breakdown, where I go through a script while watching the finished movie and go through like I would be directing it and compare what ends up on screen. I'm really excited to share it with you, and that should be out with its first episode this month as well. And much like the commentary track, it will have an edited version on YouTube, and here on this feed, it will be like a full movie commentary. There are other things that will be YouTube exclusives, a series called Roadshow that takes you to the places that the film industry takes me. It might be a premiere or perhaps a travel job. The first episode explaining why filmmakers should consider going to the NAB show is live on YouTube right now. I would love to hear your thoughts. The next is something outside of film. It's called Out of Left Field, and it's taking me to knock out all 30 MLB ballparks. Those will be less often than anything else, but the first one will be Angel Stadium when it does release. Which leaves me with this feed. I desperately miss podcasting. I really thought I had something good going here for a while. In the past, I've always had someone to play off of, so this will be interesting, trying to do a solo show, but I will put in the reps and work on it. But it really brings me to the thing I would love to hear from you. There are so many podcasts out there, and anyone who tunes in, I would like to provide them with value. So let me know what you like or what you would like to hear in the future. I'm still working on what this show will be in its final form. But in the meantime, I would like to touch base for a quick episode once or twice a month to start. Make sure you subscribe to The Cory Baker Show on your podcast app of choice. And thank you so much for listening.